Welcome back to Inside the Capitol. I'm Jason Adkins, Executive Director of the Minnesota Catholic Conference.
And I'm Maggee, Policy Associate here at the Catholic Conference.
It is an important week in the legislative process. In the beginning of every two-year legislative biennium, the legislature and the governor are constitutionally mandated to come up with a balanced budget for the next 2 years of the state's fiscal cycle beginning July 1, 2025. So we call that the 26-27 biennium from an accounting standpoint. They do so and they create their balanced budget based on fiscal forecasts from the state. And so the forecast that they'll use to craft a budget comes out this week. And so why that's important is that they take those budget forecasts and those numbers, and then they're able to set targets for the various spending bills that they need to create and put together. And so they have to create spending bills across a whole bunch of different subject areas to put their final budget together. Now, there was a small surplus during the last forecast in late fall, and the question will be during this February forecast, even though it's coming out in March, what those numbers will look like. Will there still be some small surplus? Will that surplus shrink? Will it increase? And that will have a big bearing on the numbers that they come up with for budget targets. Now, the concern is that in the what they call out years, that 28-29 budget cycle, there are some projected big looming deficits. So that's going to be on legislators' minds as they start thinking about how to put spending in place. You know, do they reform things? Do they look at other ways to save money? Do they put other taxes in? So that's going to be a big thing. And then between that forecast that comes out, the governor will likely come out with a revised budget proposal. And then legislative committees will spend the next month approximately putting together their preliminary budgets to be approved by the broader House and Senate. So it's a really big week, what those numbers are going to tell us. And of course, we're very concerned because those impact some of our key bills. The proposed cuts to non-public pupil aid, the possibility of doing a child tax credit, any other kinds of mandates or laws that have a spending component that we're working on. Those are two of the biggest ones that we're looking at this year.
Right, and we love that the child tax credit is in place, but a child tax credit expansion is what we're looking at for this coming session. So we'll see if there's enough money to be able to do something like that. We also are looking at a elimination of sales tax on necessary baby items. So there's all sorts of different spending bills that we need to watch, and a lot of that's going to depend on what happens this coming Thursday. We don't know what it'll look like, but we're excited to see.
And it's how do you prioritize different things? A budget, as the church says every cycle, is a moral document. What do we prioritize? And our concern is to say, let's prioritize, things that directly impact people and not prioritize amenities or things we like to have. So when we're talking about child tax credit, for example, or ensuring that low-income Minnesotans have access to health care through Minnesota Care, our undocumented community, making sure that they can purchase subsidized health care through Minnesota Care. Those are the sorts of issues where money goes directly, or spending projects go directly into serving basic human needs or directly to families. Those are the things we want to prioritize as opposed to grants to a third-party provider, for example, that maybe only indirectly help people. So those are big things that we're looking at. But it's also Ash Wednesday coming up this week, and we have some really great Lenten opportunities, starting with First Friday Adoration.
Yeah, it's going to happen. First Friday Adoration is happening again this Friday at the State Capitol in the Governor's Dining Room. It happens every first Friday during session. And the Governor's Dining Room is really easy to get to. If you RSVP, you can park in our lot. We'll give you, you'd get a parking pass, park in our lot. If you don't know how to get there, we're happy to help you get over there. And it's just so important to be praying for our elected officials, praying for everything happening at the Capitol, and showing up. And if you're over there, it's a nice opportunity to go upstairs, see what's happening, maybe meet with your legislator, and really practice that civic friendship and faithful citizenship that we're called to as Catholics.
And we put materials out on the table that people can use, and so you can pray and then work, or labor, as we like to say. Go upstairs, meet with your elected officials, bring some of our one-pagers on key issues, such as sports gambling and the legalization of sports gambling. It's March Madness. This is the first March inside the Capitol. So over $2 billion is typically wagered on sports events during March. You have the NCAA tournaments, not just the basketball tournament, but tournaments. Hockey is another one. Gymnastics, a lot of things going on. And so it's a big time, and what we're trying to do is stop the expansion of sports gambling here in Minnesota. to the online piece. We don't want to put a commercial sports book in everyone's cell phone. So we have an action alert up on our website, takeaction@mncatholic.org. Join the Catholic Advocacy Network and express your opposition to this predatory industry being unleashed on Minnesotans. High costs and no benefit to the state of Minnesota. So that's a really big issue. We've had really great success in Senate, State, and Local Government Committee with the help of Bishop Eisen and a priest who testified about an embezzlement that happened at one of his parishes. That was really influential testimony in ensuring that this bill doesn't move forward, but we need the voice of the people in the pew to join the voices of our clergy in opposition to this harmful predatory industry.
Right, and you can read more about our concerns and what's happening with that in the latest edition of Inside the Capitol, and we have other video content describing that issue more in depth.
Inside the Capitol is published in all the diocesan newspapers, so we got a print medium and then also on video and then through the Catholic Advocacy Network. One final action alert to take advantage of is at the federal level, we're trying to expand educational options. States you're seeing around the country are passing school choice bills, creating greater access to educational freedom and ensuring that every kid gets the opportunity to have a high quality education that's consistent with his or her family values. And so unfortunately in Minnesota we're making great progress on that, but we're having trouble getting it over the finish line because of the political opposition of the teachers unions among others. But what we can do at the federal level is pass the Education Choice for Children Act, ECCA, which would set aside $10 billion in tax credits for those who donate to organizations that give out scholarships, such as we have here in the Twin Cities, the Aim Higher Foundation, giving out meaningful scholarships to kids to attend non-public schools and our Catholic schools specifically. So take action at mncatholic.org, join the Catholic Advocacy Network, and let our elected officials in Congress know that you support the ECCA. Thank you to our congressional representative delegation, Congressman Emmer, Congressman Stauber, and Congressman Finstead, who are all sponsors of that, and Congresswoman Fishbach has voted for it out of committee. And so we hope in that budget reconciliation process this spring that the ECCA gets passed. It's a crucial time to take advantage on something that could really benefit Minnesota kids and families.
Right. There is so much going on at the Capitol, both at the state and federal level right now, and you can stay up to date on all of that. Obviously, these videos are a great way to do that. You can follow us on social media and on Instagram to see everything that's happening during the week. This is just kind of the tip of the iceberg of what we do here at the Minnesota Catholic Conference. I encourage you to follow along as we really get into the height of session and things start to get fun over here at the Capitol.
One more opportunity for voters in House District 40B. There's a special election coming up on March 11th, and voters have the opportunity in Roseville and Shoreview and a few surrounding cities like Falcon Heights to vote for a new legislator in that district. The control of the House is at stake. Right now it's a 67-66 Republican majority, so depending on who's elected, that could either extend to a 68-66 Republican majority or a tied 67-67 split. So a meaningful, impactful legislative race in House District 40B. You can go to our website, mncatholic.org, to learn more about that, or the Secretary of State's website has all the information and more information about those candidates as well. That's it for this edition of Inside the Capitol. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.